Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream. The flow of consciousness that is Lux. Also, hi Sasami-chan. Thank you, and all natural ingredients. Technically, yeah, that did go. Yeah, I'm technically made of all natural ingredients except for the band-aids and stuff I'm currently wearing. Let's just say shaving can be dangerous. Okay. So, today we're going back to working on this texture on screen. And that will also lead us back into fixing, once that texture's all done, it will be put on this wall. Yay. Okay. Now going back to here. And let's work on this a little bit, shall we? Make these things all pretty. Also, how are you doing today, Sasami-chan? Do not attempt if you don't have a beard. Isn't that kind of the point of shaving, though? To make it so you don't have a beard? But I get what you're going at, the people who naturally do not have beards. Okay, going to pull up reference for myself here. D. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Where is. I know I have a reference for that back wall. Okay, there we go. Get myself a reference. Okay, looks like this right here could be a little bit thinner. Excuse me. And this could be a little smoother in the curve. So it looks like this needs to be a little bit more here. And actually, I'm going to put that there, create a new point here. And like that. Okay, let's see. D. You are bored. Howdy. Hello, bored. I'm Lux. Okay. I've been watching too many videos with dad jokes in it, so I apologize. Okay. I think that that's close enough on that. Okay. Let's pull this further over this way. Though realistically, I should have gone, hello, so bored, because of the I'm so bored, you know. So was the first name, bored's the last name. Also, like I said, I've been watching too many videos with dad jokes in them, slash puns. Also, puns are like some of my favorite jokes. Okay. Do this, and that right there. Manipulate this a little bit. That. Okay. Yep, that feels about right. Okay. Ever see the Marx Bros? Don't believe so. Okay, let's see here. This could actually be a little bit more rounded, like so. I think that. Yeah, I just need to also make this line a little thinner here. Okay. That looks closer, so let's click on this one. And this, and like that. So bring this down just a little bit. Okay. Yeah. That looks good. Okay, time to move on to the next one. Okay. Let's actually go to this one first. This shape starts here, and this actually should go up a little bit. Okay, I think that's good. Okay. Yeah, we're just all having all sorts of fun with puns in the chat room. Woohoo! Chat room interaction. Okay. Actually, if I look at this, this should actually be a little bit higher because it's almost about, if I look up my reference, this ring and this ring are almost about the same height. So if I do that, yeah, that looks about right there. So I just need to just curve a little bit here. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah. I think this will work here. Okay. Okay. Oop. Hmm. I actually was a backer on the let's see, what was it? It wasn't Kickstarter. It's the other one. I'm trying to remember what it's called. But yeah, I backed them fighting herds. So I don't actually really play it that much. I just wanted to support the group that made it because like they were hardworking. They made this game, and then because of copyright and other things, they couldn't actually finish it. So I was like, I'm gonna help them actually make the game they wanted to make. Okay, let's see. DD. Also, it's always good to try something new um, when you're trying to expand your skills. Because I try to do something kind of new with my art all the time, where I try to figure out a problem. I try to solve a problem that I run into, and that's what helps me kind of grow as an artist or um, whatever I'm working on at the time. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Let's move that a little bit like that. Actually, that tells me that this swooping here needs to be moved up a little bit here. Turn that off. Adjust this a little bit here. There we go. That's actually though. Going back to companies going after games. That doesn't. It still happens mostly with Nintendo and people making fan games. Uh, but then there's those companies that basically hire on the fan game makers to actually make an official game, like what happened with Sonic. What was it? Sonic. Uh, huh. I know it was the latest 2D Sonic game. That was made by a group of people who started out as fan developers making a Sonic the Hedgehog game. Okay, so let's put this right here. Okay, because, yeah, it goes right here. Let's highlight all of this and make it curves. Grab that. And grab this and move it over here. Yeah, how Disney makes a lot of live action remakes now just to cash in on it. Though some of them have slight improvements over the original, but most of them just kind of take the name and run with it and basically take the script from the original and not really change it much. Or if they do, they change it in a way to fix it but don't really fix it. Okay, continue on down from there. Yeah, a lot of that stuff, referring to Sasami-chan here, a lot of the people who are growing up, ending up in the industry, actually get to make stuff that they were fans of when they were younger and have a lot more creative control over how those versions get made. They still are um, under the restrictions of the industries they're working in, so they have to like limit certain things, like how much creative expression when it comes to gender identity and sexual orientation, especially when it comes to any content that's oriented towards a younger demographic. Also, let's not really discuss too much about demographics because that has been proven to be false on multiple occasions. That it actually really doesn't help you target a market of people because people are people. They're not a specific group of any kind. We create groups in society, but you can't sell to a group because that group is it gets really complicated really quickly, and I only barely know the surface of it myself. Also, if you hear any kind of clanking or stuff moving around, that would be Kitty. Velvet says hi. Okay, let's get back to making swirly patterns. Okay, let's see. Okay. You know, that one should actually be right here. This and like that. And grab that one. Pull it around like so. Okay. D. And you have to like specify when you're talking about the Jungle Book. You have to make specifically like, are you talking about the Disney's Jungle Book that's been remade, or do you mean the story that ended up becoming Jungle Book a couple of times? Because the story of Mowgli, I think, is the pronunciation of that name. Um, and everything that happens in the Jungle Book has been remade several times and not always in its entirety. Like usually they focus on just the Mowgli section, but the Jungle Book actually is a collection of multiple stories. Um, the story of Mowgli is just one of them, and there's multiple stories that have to deal with that character. But I also believe that Ricky Tikki Tavi, I think is the name of one of the stories, is about a mongoose that hunts down a cobra in a garden. That's also part of the Jungle Book. Uh, so yeah, when you're talking about stories and remakes, you have to be specific and not just generalize to the ones we most commonly know of. Because what Disney does, at least in the past, is take in out of domain public use stories and turns them into a public property, a private property, I should say. Okay. So we've got. Need to actually move that closer. And like that, and do that. Yeah. Okay. Like so. Move this over here. Like that. And gonna bring this up here and here. Ah, Tailspin. Yeah, I really enjoyed that show. My favorite character was, I think his name was Kit Cloud Kicker. Um, I like all of those Saturday morning cartoons. My absolute favorite was Darkwing Duck. Daring Duck of Mystery, champion of right, swoops out of the shadows, Darkwing of the night. Somewhere some villain schemes, but his number is up. 321, Darkwing Duck. Yes, I watched that show way too many times. I even mentioned it in our reviews of the um, Duck Ducktales. Yeah, Ducktales reboot. People still pay to see them if we're talking about the Disney live action remakes because of nostalgia. And there's a whole lot of that going on right now because of social reasons. Okay, let's see here. Let's move this over. Excuse me. And let's put this together. Okay, pull that down here, like so, right there, like so. Okay. Pull that in. Okay, do this, go here. Okay. Like that. Okay, going back to look at the chat room. Did Tailspin have Launchpad McQuack? Because I know DuckTales had Launchpad and Darkwing Duck had Launchpad. I don't believe I ever saw Launchpad in Tailspin. Because Blue was the pilot in Tailspin. And then you had Kit Cloudkicker, which was his sidekick. I can't remember the name of the boss or her daughter. Ah, oh yeah, Molly, the little girl carrying around her. So I can't remember what stuffed animal it was, but it was a stuffed animal. Ah, yes, Rebecca. Thank you. Because I can clearly see both characters. I just didn't hear their names enough in such a way that it stuck in my ADHD brain. Okay. Move this up here. Adjust that here. Pull that down. Pull this over. Let's add another one here. Like this. Like this. Okay, that looks pretty close because this actually goes down here and comes like so. Zoom in, click on this, bring that up there, like so. up. Just a little bit here. It's a lot of poking and prodding until you get just the right amount of stuff to get this to work right. Okay. Now let's look back at the chat room. Well, there was a lot of voice actors sharing. Well, there's a lot of that now, but like in the past, like there were usually one person who did like a lot of different voices. Well, actually, there were several people who did a lot of different voices, so they ended up in a lot of different shows back then. Well, wait a minute, isn't that that's the same as? And just like there was a lot of that back then. Today we have a lot more like voice actors, so you can have a lot more people per show that are unique per show. Excuse me. Wuzzles would be an interesting one to reboot. I like the Wuzzles, but if you like listen to the intro song, there's some like problematic lyrics in it about give me a second here, split personalities. Because that's not an actual disorder anymore. Because it's less about the medical book. The medical psychological book is less. It doesn't define it that way anymore. It's God, it's hard. I can't remember it. There's several videos out there that do a really good job of explaining how it actually is defined now, and it's less about personalities and more about like how one sees oneself and stuff like that. And some people do actually have multiple personalities, but it's like it gets really complicated really quickly, and I'm not like fit at all to talk about it. But basically, you listen to the song and go, "Oh, they would definitely need to change that lyric." But the concept of the Wuzzles is really neat. It would be fun to bring back. Okay, let's do some stuff here. Okay. Let's do more along here. Let's bring it down a little bit further. Yeah, there we go. That feels right. I don't know. There's a lot of like comedies that if you look back on, you're like, this is all based on not very funny stereotypes, but we still laughed at them at the time. Okay, so this, I'm going to place that right here. Put this right here. This goes over that right there. Put this right here. And here. Highlight those, and let's do that. And this needs to be a little, whoop. This needs to be a little bit closer here. Grab that and grab that, move it over. Move this over to here and stretch it out. Okay, that feels about right. Now let's change the curve here. Oop. Okay, need to go thinner. There we go. Okay, move this down to here. Move this down to here. feels about right. But I need to pull this down just to, come on, pull it down just a little bit there. So I can do this and here. Let's move this more here. Okay. Okay. Let's grab this and make it a little bit thicker there. And this actually is more like it's pointing to that corner there. There we go. Let's go back to the chat room. Yeah, good representation of what we understand about psychology and like even the term mental illness isn't really a thing anymore if you're referring to psychological bases. Like ADHD isn't a mental illness. Um, psychopathy isn't a mental illness. Um, these are just different forms of how the human brain um, happens to be created. So they're not malfunctions of the human brain. They're different versions of the human brain that happens to have different functions than what we consider neurotypical. Um, so yeah, so like you could call something a mental illness if your brain was physically damaged by something. Like if a steel rod ended up going through your head and breaking the connection between the right lobe and the left lobe, that could be considered a mental illness because that's something that physically damaged your brain. A chemical damage to the brain could also be considered a mental illness. But things like psychopathy, ADHD, other forms of mental brain types are just brain types. They're no longer considered something to fix. They're something to study and help understand so the people who happen to have these type of brains can live a fulfilled life in current society. So yeah, like even the concept of mental illness is no longer something we currently use when you're doing the scientific analysis of people. And this is all like surface knowledge I've gained after doing a lot of research to deal with my own ADHD. So I am not an expert by any means, so please go out online and do your own research and stuff like this. But everything I've run into is, yeah, brains aren't broken. They're just different. They only are broken when something outside of your genetics affects them. So you're not disabled. The world is disabled based on how you are. So things aren't working for you because it was designed for someone else, not because you yourself are broken. Yes, but there was a reason for him to be that way, and that kind of thing is could be considered a mental illness. But I'm talking about stuff like psychopathy is really interesting because it's just a brain that doesn't have the pathways for empathy. And if you catch someone like that young enough, you can actually teach them logically why learning to emulate empathy is a good thing. And they will actually have a very satisfying life in current society where empathy is important. It's only people we don't catch and can't help um, through other things that become a problem in society. If we can catch people when they're young and help them with their differences, they can better fit with other people in society. Like, for instance, a person with ADHD, like myself, I naturally have a short attention span for certain things. And I also have um, a much smaller amount of, give me a second here, short term memory than most people do. Like, I will lose track of the beginning of conversations because I naturally have less, basically, RAM than most people. Okay, I think this could actually use a bit more of a curve right here. Yeah, there we go. Um, what's really interesting about changing behaviors is a person has to want to change their behavior for them to be able to change the behavior. You can't force someone to change their behavior by telling them that it's wrong for them to do something. You have to have them question things. This is why there's this really neat method of talking to people that I found out about that helps me with talking to people called street epistemology. Um, Basically, instead of using your belief to try to change someone else's belief, you talk to them and ask them questions about what they believe. And by asking them questions about it, you help them see what they actually believe. And it also helps them develop a better appreciation of what someone else believes. So they can change their mind because they usually end up going, oh, wait, that's not actually what I meant when I said that. I actually believe this. And then you ask, why do you believe that? And then you just keep building on that, and it helps people change their own minds about things. Like, I use it all the time on myself. Because that's the nice thing about this technique is you can also use it on yourself. You can, like, okay, why do I believe this thing? So, okay, so I believe this. Why do I believe that? And could I get a better view of it if I ask more questions about it? It also helps you develop critical thinking. So you can also look at something that someone else tells you and go, well, why is that like this? So, okay, here's questions I can ask that. Like, the first thing I learned after like playing around with this method is I had to learn how to properly question things. Like, you think questioning something is easy. No, most people actually question things wrong, and you're like, wow. So I looked up how to question, and I eventually um, started questioning how I question, and I got better at questioning. So it really helps to like question yourself and figure out what's best for you. And I mean, that's how I got into the rabbit hole of learning about how um, psychology works, help me improve, talk to others. I've been going to a ADHD coach who's also a psychologist, so that helps, and we talk a lot, and that helps me figure things out. Also, like, talking on this stream helps too. Okay. D. Because, like, another thing I learned from street epistemology is you can't just tell someone that they're wrong. That's a good way to get them to think they're right. Uh, let's see. because like if you tell someone that they're wrong without realizing it, they will take that as an attack. And when you get attacked, your brain has two base responses: either fight back or run. Neither of which are good in a conversation. Okay. Also, as always, disclaimer: this is just stuff I found out about for myself. Going online and doing your own research is very important. Learning how to question things is also important. So just don't take everything I say at face value. So, disclaimer over. Okay. So we're gonna do... So just to show you the reference I'm currently looking at, I just finished with these first two parts. I'm now moving on to this pattern right here. Okay. Excuse me. Yeah, mind control is an interesting thing. I don't know much about it, but I know how to avoid it for myself. Like, anytime I hear any new information, I constantly, right after hearing it, going, okay, so if that were true, that would mean this. And then I go on from there. Okay, let's see here. Woo. Okay, I'm going to take a moment to catch up on the chat because I was kind of talking my own stuff and not really reading the chat as I was talking. So I'm going to go back and do that here. Okay, caught up on the chat. You guys are talking about some really interesting stuff, and all we're kind of building around the concept we were talking about the mind and everything. So that's really cool. I like what you guys are talking about. It's good to have a good discussion. Also, that starlight glimmer thing. That's yeah. Because the whole point is not to be alike. The whole point is to not hurt others. So, yeah, everyone needs to be the same. That doesn't solve anything. Okay, D. So actually, we want to do this and here and here and here. Yeah, right there. Here and okay. There. I'm gonna just move this one there for now. I'm probably gonna delete that point, but I'm going to come back to that. So I need all these points to be curves. Okay. Okay, the stream disconnected for a moment there. That was weird. Okay. Let's go back to working on this. Let's see, it's 11:47. Yeah, there's probably like reasons for that. You would have to like someone would have to really talk to that person because they may have also had a learning disability that made it hard for them to get concepts like that. There's a great book um, to read that helps you understand a little bit more about certain problems people have with learning that can lead to behavioral problems. Uh, let's see, I think it's called The Myth of Laziness, and it's a really interesting book. And I've listened to an abridged version of it recently because they didn't have an unabridged version of it, which is kind of annoying. Um, and has a lot of interesting concepts in it. The only thing I didn't like about it is the guy like had certain issues with the fact that a lot of people are being labeled ADHD nowadays, and he is one of those people who like has an issue with um, certain people being labeled that way, and I'm like, some of the people you describe in your book can actually fall quite easily underneath the ADHD label and fit there quite nicely and get the same help, because not everyone with ADHD can be helped through medical drugs like Ritalin and can't remember the name of the other one. Nope, I can't remember it. So it starts with an A. And I was on it for a little bit, and didn't really do much for me. It just raised my heart rate. But I do have ADHD, and it's just it manifests in mostly the memory problems with ADHD. Okay. Let's see here. There actually is a YouTube channel out there that kind of does that. Um, that actually doesn't really rank the movies, but tells you how it depicts the disorder and how well it depicts the disorder. It doesn't rank individual movies against each other. It just ranks an individual section of a movie, and well, not really ranks it, but like says like, well, if they actually wanted to depict this um, disorder correctly, they would do this, or they actually tackled parts of it correctly, like this. Um, so that's kind of neat to watch, but it's actually more of like a psychologist kind of point of view, and not really the disorder kind of point of view. Okay, let's see here. How where did my there's my reference? Where did my reference go? It disappeared. What am I going to do? Okay, so okay, I think I can actually delete that. Pull that here and this over here, and yeah. Okay, that feels about right for that. So I'm going to pull this closer here. Okay, that feels about right, but this needs to be a little bit tighter. Okay, now back to the chat room. Yeah, it's all about learning about who has the disabilities, how much of the because um, in the myth about laziness, he actually breaks down um, learning into categories, and each one of those has a subcategory in it. And he finds that people can be strong in all the other categories and everything except for this one spot, and it can manifest differently. Like, so you can actually have a star student actually have a learning disability, um, but it doesn't show up until they're in a situation where that particular learning, well, eh, well I don't like when I call it disability right now, but learning difference maybe would be a better term. A learning difference than everyone else doesn't show up until they're in that specific moment where that particular learning difference is being focused on instead of all the other strengths. So yeah, you can actually be strong in a lot of different areas, but you never find out where you're weak until that weak point is stressed, and then you realize, oh wow, I am really weak there. Like for me, I didn't realize how weak I was in a lot of areas until I moved out, and then oh boy. Like wow, I was really weak there. I did not know. So I started doing research and I got stronger in those areas, or I found out ways to be able to deal with them. Okay, let's put that right there. And I think I'm spiking the mic so much in this. Okay. Yeah, people who have ADHD are actually very intelligent individuals, though there's a fun word right there, intelligence. We can't actually measure it, so you can't really say who's intelligent over someone else. Because IQ, even though it's called an intelligent quotient, is not a way to measure intelligence. It's a way to measure how well you can take that test. Ah, let's see here. Dee. Now, I'm gonna want to put this here. Put that there. Pull this down to here. There. There. Here. Here? Or do we want another one? Nope, that's where we want that one. Okay, we can put this one here, and that one there, and that one there. Okay. Yeah. The thing about some people don't talk that often, they're really smart. Um, there's actually that's actually covered in the book I mentioned, so that's interesting to look into. Uh, I just find all this stuff fascinating. I really like dug into it because I found all of it really neat, um, and just went at it. Okay, let's see. Highlight those. Highlight that, 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 and those, and boom. Okay. Now let's get to work smoothing these out. Yep, that feels about right for that. Okay. Okay. I can actually move that down a little bit there. feels about right like that. Move that in here. Okay. Okay, that feels about right for that. Let's go back to the chat. Sometimes stress is a factor. Stress is a really big factor. It's a big cause of depression and stuff like that. A lot of us are under way too much stress because of what society expects us to do instead of what society uh, instead of what we can actually do for society. Okay, let's see here. Let's do that, and let's create a curve here. Okay. Let's see, how does that feel? Okay, let's click just on this one. This one could be a little bit thicker. Okay. Okay, DD. Let's thin this out a little bit here. Okay. There we go. Okay, let's see how this could actually be right here. Yeah, that's better. This could actually be a little further up. And that could be a little thicker. There we go. Okay. Now, grab this and this, highlight that, and move it closer. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now we're gonna group those together. Group those together and group those together. Okay. Oh. Yeah, stretch. Yeah, we definitely need like better educational stuff. Okay. That feels about the right scale. That is not. So let's do that. Let's go to here. Put up this group and highlight both, and then do this, and then do that. And that's close. I need to adjust that a little bit here. Okay. Let's go with that. Move this over here. How does that feel proportion-wise? That feels correct. Okay. Now we're gonna grab that and group that together. And grab this and move it over a little bit here. Zoom out, and we're going to duplicate that. And we're going to flip it. Bring it over here. Like so. Grab this and bring it over here. Scale it down. Okay, once again, the stream cut out. Okay, that's weird. Well, good thing is we're getting close to ending the stream for today. I just got that finished, and I was going to compare it to the reference I have. Yeah, I think that feels close enough. Okay. So let's put this back up, and yeah, that looks good, though I need to space them out a little bit more by the looks of the reference. Okay. That looks good. And now I'm going to do something here. Do that, copy that. Okay. Open. Dink, 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 dink. Do. Okay. Now let's go to here, click on this, and actually click on here. Let's switch this over to this. And yeah, that's actually the same number. Cool. Okay. So that is done. Minimize all these again. And it looks like next time I am going to be going through the wood grain and getting that calibrated. So we got like a small portion of this back texture done. It takes a lot of work to texture things, especially to get them to look right. But hey, we made progress today, and progress is good when you're working on a project like this. Okay, so thank you all for joining me. Thank you for the wonderfully lively discussion in the chat room. Thank you for letting me ramble about things. And I hope you all enjoyed the stream. And I hope you all who are watching this later enjoyed the video. As usual, links down below for my art, my Patreon, Ember's, coffee, well, not coffee, Tumblr page, my Tumblr page. If you want to watch more stuff on this channel, there's videos and links. There's playlists, I should say. If you like this video, cool. If you don't like this video, also cool. Comment down below. Thanks to everyone who joined in the chat. If you want to catch these, you can usually get a stream notification if you subscribe and ring the bell. The streams are always fun for me, and we had a fun chat in this. We had not fun chat. We had an interesting chat and discussion. Might have been fun. I enjoyed it. Hope you all have a good day, good afternoon, and good night, maybe. Wherever you are, what time it is, you all have fun and enjoy the rest of your time and your day. Thank you all, and as usual, links and stuff down below. And bye!